Hey, Kyle's Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NXT 2.0 from July 26, 2022, live from the CWC in Orlando, Florida, as usual. So, Vince has retired. Stephanie and Triple H have replaced Vince. Everything's in flux right now in WWE, and the trickle down effect probably will reach NXT. So, I'd never expected that we'll open the show tonight with the NXT Black and Gold back, but it is intriguing to see what happens tonight anyway. So, just a little recap of what we've been having going on and all the stories leading into potentially um, a new era, a start of a new era tonight. We left off all the stories with the potential new era with Zoe Stark returning last week after an 8-month injury. She's already number one contender for the NXT Women's title that has been held by Mandy Rose for a long time. Meanwhile, Cora Jade just turned heel on her friend and tag team champion partner Roxanne Perez. Then last week, Cora Jade threw her half of the NXT title in the trash. So maybe now that Triple H and Stephanie are in charge, I was a little afraid that the women's tag titles in both WWE and NXT will be abandoned, but looks like that's not the case, which is great news. Then there's another 5 or 6 stories going around in the women's division, also great to see. Meanwhile, over in the men's side, JD McDonough made his debut last week and is going after Braun Breaker and the NXT Championship. Also, Joe Gacy wants a downtrodden Cameron Grimes to join the schism, and then Solo Sikoa and Von Wagner have been brawling all over the place for a long time, a couple weeks now. So, also Apollo Cruz has beef with Quinn, and it was announced last week that they will have a match tonight. Also set up for tonight was Wes Lee versus Grayson Waller, and there's a faction battle that started last week with the first shot fired by the Tony D'Angelo family against Diamond Mine. We will see them in a 4-on-4 tag match tonight in the main event. So, just a little bit of news before we get into this week's episode. Sophia Cromwell, who has been seen on NXT 2.0 with Von Wagner, has been called up. Sophia Cromwell has been called up to SmackDown to play the role of Max Dupree's sister, Maxine Dupree. So she probably will not be on NXT anymore. And yes, they actually mention her without saying her name completely anyway. They started with like and then they taught. So we'll get to that, but they do write the Sophia Cromwell character off of television now that she's become Maxine Dupree on SmackDown. Also announced just today was that NXT will have a live special event the same exact night as AEW All Out. So that's pretty wild. I think that's also the night right after Clash at the Castle. So that is going to be a busy weekend in the wrestling world. I don't know if it's going to take place at the exact same time as All Out or if it's going to be like earlier in the day or something like that. I have no clue, but that's pretty interesting. Maybe it'll be in the UK. I didn't quite get any news about what it's going to be or where it is, but if Clash of the Castle's in the UK, I could see maybe a UK NXT event there. So let's see what we start a potential new era of NXT out with, and it is going to be Zoe Stark, so who returned last week to win the 20-woman battle royal, become number one contender. Zoe Stark comes out in her street clothes and she's wearing a knee brace weirdly over her jeans for some reason. Probably the reason is so that she can show what she came back from. She just came back. So it pretty much makes sense with what she has to say here. So Zoe Stark's getting a huge ovation from the crowd, and Zoe says, "You have no idea how good it feels to be back here. I didn't even know if I would ever get back here. At Halloween Havoc, I tore my ACL and MCL off the bone. Doctors said it would take well over a year to come back. So I got to work. It was tough physically and mentally. Like, why did this happen to me? And would they even remember me and care about me when I come back? I didn't know anything. So I lived in that trainer's room back there, just behind the curtain this whole time. And I came back 4 months ahead of schedule. That last week, the noise you all made everything I went through worth it. And Toxic Attraction almost ended my career, so I will take that NXT title from Mandy Rose. But Mandy Rose does not interrupt. Instead, it's Cora Jade. So Cora Jade says, "You've been back 1 week and I'm already sick of you. You stole my moment just like Roxanne stole my moment." So then Zoe Stark says, "Yeah, I saw your moment. Your moment was when you disrespected the NXT Women's Tag Team titles that I once held proudly, and you threw it in the trash. That title's not trash. You are." So Toxic Attraction now comes out And Mandy Rose says, "Wow, you two ladies talk a big game. Hate to break it to you, but I always win. Tomorrow, I become the 4th longest reigning women's champion in history when I pass Paige. So put respect on my name." And then Zoe says, "Put that title up against me tonight, and you won't even get there." So Gigi Dolan says, "You don't get to call the shots around here. You'll face me tonight." So that ends this little segment. It does set up Gigi Dolan will be fighting Zoe Starks later on. Now we see in the back Grayson Waller, and he says, "Hey," so he's like looking into the camera, and he's like, "Hey, you at home, stop looking at your phone." Then he just basically talks a bunch of trash about like you, me, whoever's watching the show. It was different and really funny, so I like this a lot. This was a little bit something we usually they're not like looking in the camera and saying, "Hey, you at home, like you're trash." Like go out and why don't you try working out for once or something like that. So that was pretty interesting and funny. Then he also says he's going to beat Wes Lee, and then we go to a commercial break. So when we come back, in the back is Tony D'Angelo. He's giving a pep talk to the family, and he says Elektra has proven herself, and Joaquin and Cruz have been proving themselves too. But loyalty isn't a one and done thing. Diamond Mine, you can all yell and scream and think this is personal, but it's only business. See you out there. So we've already known that from Tony D'Angelo that he's found Elektra Lopez to be valuable. Now it looks like Joaquin and Cruz are also doing what they're told. You remember this all basically. We haven't seen Santos Escobar since Tony D'Angelo showed Joaquin and Cruz. And Elektra, but she was already proving herself before that. But Tony showed the three of them pictures of Santos Escobar in a hospital bed. So, and basically said, if you don't do what I say, then this is going to be you next to him, basically. And we haven't seen Santos Escobar since. So, before I move on, I thought I had wrote down a little bit more about Zoe Stark, but pretty good to see her back here. That was a pretty good promo. It was really interesting. It seemed like it wasn't heavily scripted. She was just able to. They told her, "Yeah, go out there, talk from the heart about your comeback, and eventually lead it around to these key points." You know what I mean? So it wasn't overly scripted. It was refreshing to hear on WWE/NXT television an unscripted promo. Where you just have your key points, your bullet points you want to touch on, but the rest of it was just like free balling because in this particular case, it was a real story where Zoe Stark probably was feeling like, "Oh, why did this have to happen to me? And when everything was going so good, and are the fans even going to remember me or care about me when I come back?" That's all real stuff. So she just has to tap into whatever was actually happening. That's the beauty of pro wrestling. It can involve some real stuff. Now she said, like, for instance, maybe she didn't come back from injury any quicker than she was supposed to. Maybe it was always 8 weeks. So you can do real life kind of things and still embellish it because it's pro wrestling. So why not? You're supposed to be keeping guessing what's real, what's not, and kind of deal. Um, so we go to the ring now, and Grayson Waller's at the end of his entrance. He does his little flip right in the ring when we come back. And then Wes Lee comes out, the big cheers. So this is about 15 minutes into the show, the first big match of the night starting. But I think having Zoe return after her big injury was a special occasion, and it was definitely worthy of opening the show for that long. Plus, it probably set up 4 potential matches for Zoe in the future. She's already got Gigi tonight. We find out there's a big event in 3 weeks, and that's where she'll fight Mandy Rose, but maybe she'll fight Cora Jade and JC Jane as well. So a 15-minute segment where we got a big return and all that, a heartfelt promo, and setting up potentially 4 matches in the next 4 weeks. So this match here is Grayson Waller versus Wes Lee, and it starts out with some grappling. The pace quickens now, and both styles have been pretty even so far, both the grappling and the quick pace stuff. Looks like a pretty good matchup here between Grayson and Wes Lee. The crowd's very loud. They chant for both guys, weirdly. So Grayson even getting chants for him in this match. Waller then uses his strength advantage to pick up Wes, but Wes uses his agility advantage to just get right out of it without any damage. Then Wes mocks that weird dance that Grayson does where he drops to his knees, and then Wes hits a bunch of arm drags in a row. Grayson then takes control with a big boot to the gut. Then Grayson slows the pace way down, but Grayson doesn't apply a hold or anything like that. So Wes just quickens the pace right again to take control. Grayson tries to fight back, but Wes hits a huge punch, and we go to a picture-in-picture ad break. So we're about 5 minutes into this match so far. Pretty good stuff. Grayson then throws Wes out of the ring, and hits one move and throws Wes back in. That was kind of awkward. But Grayson then picks up Wes, and Wes again uses agility to escape without damage. So Grayson goes back to strikes. Those seem to have been working for him a little bit better. Grayson by far has the reach advantage when it comes to striking game. So if it was me, however, I'd be applying more holds to prevent Wes from gaining steam. It doesn't take much from the start running around and springboarding off of moves, and all of a sudden 3 big moves and you're done kind of deal. So I would be very careful about if I was Grayson. Let me get a drink real quick. Apologies. So yeah, Grayson goes back to those strikes, and Grayson keeps striking, and he counters a charging Wes with a nice looking backbreaker. Now Grayson applies a hold, like I was saying he should. He turns that backbreaker into a hold, like the same position. Now we're back from the picture-in-picture ad break. Wes Lee's wife's in the front row, and I'm like, oh, Grayson's the kind of guy to do something. But no, we don't get anything between Grayson and Wesley's wife. But I was thinking, oh. And then Grayson hits a big sit-down spine buster from a fireman's carry. I don't know what to call that, but it was cool. The crowd's really still loud for this match. They're still really loud. So Grayson then talks trash to everyone who will listen, the people at home, the referee, Wesley, the fans. It was pretty funny. So Grayson, although that was funny, makes the mistake of allowing Wesley to recover. So Wes comes charging in with big and quick strikes here. Then a bulldog onto his knee, not a regular bulldog, but the landing was on the knee. That was cool. Grayson then rolls out of the ring onto the apron, and then hits Wes against the ropes. Kind of baited him in there. But Wes just shakes off the pain and dives to the outside on the Grayson. Wes goes up to the top rope, but Grayson throws Wesley right to the outside from the top rope. That looked pretty painful. And then someone with their face covered hits Wesley hard from the crowd. And it's got to be Trick Williams, but we don't see for sure yet. Grayson then hits his rolling stunner for the 1-2-3, and the winner of this match by pinfall is Wes Lee. So pretty good match here to open us up on NXT. And of course it was. Now we see it's Trick Williams with the big punch. He's got a new Muhammad Ali type gimmick going on. And last time we saw him fight Wes Lee, he used like chloroform or ether to win the match, very, very illegally. So looks like Trick Williams isn't done with Wes Lee. Wes Lee like attacked Trick after that. That's why. Otherwise Trick would have just moved on to the next one. So pretty good match there to open us up. A potential new era of NXT with a nice Grayson Waller Wes Lee match there. So in the back now is the Schism. That's Joe Gacy and his new group. He's got Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed. And they say that they're happy to have joined with Joe Gacy. So Joe says, I can see the pain on Grimes' face. It's not the lost championships, but the lost father. I can be that father figure. Come join us under the Schism's tree. God, why am I the best? Why are my best impressions Joe Gacy? Am I a creepy guy like Joe Gacy? Jeez. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. We do not see anything more. We don't even see Cameron Grimes tonight, which is probably a good thing. He kind of left early last show, like downtrodden, so it makes sense that he wouldn't show up today for work or whatever you want, however you want to say it. Maybe called in sick. Then Apollo Cruz comes down to the ring. He's got super boring music compared to all the other musics he's had in the past, which is a common theme with a lot of people in WWE/NXT today. Hopefully they can start getting some better music as well with better creative. So here we go. Apollo Cruz is going to fight against Xyon Quinn when we come back from the break. The first half hour of this show has been pretty good so far. I'm definitely not bothered by that Trick Williams attack to end the first match. That was always going to be part of the story. It's Wes Lee and Trick that are feuding, not Grayson Waller. So the match was pretty good, and it could have used a little bit more Wesley offense, but maybe we'll get Grayson versus Wesley in the future, and they'll have a little more time to have some offense. So the match, this next match is sure to be pretty interesting. We know Apollo Cruz is great, but Xyon Quinn has kind of struggled taking the next step from like average to above average. So he's kind of stuck on that average level. Let's see if he can start improving here. He'll have a good guy in the ring to try and prove himself with Apollo Cruz. But when we come back from the break, we see Ariana Grace is in the locker room. That's Santino Marella's daughter. And Ariana Grace has an iPad and she's showing footage of Indy Hartwell eliminating Ariana Grace in the last week's battle royal. So Ariana Grace is in the locker room showing this to Sloan Jacobs, Amari Miller, and Brooklyn Barlow, which is kind of funny. I ended up teaming in my universe mode Ariana Grace and Brooklyn Barlow, so I like seeing them on the screen together for the first time here. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen. And I'll be like, Willie, look, I did it myself. So anyway, Ariana Grace tells the three women after she shows them that footage that Indy Hartwell cheated and threw me out. So Indy Hartwell walks in. They're just in the general women's locker room and says, it was a battle royal. There's no timeouts. You would have done the same. So Ariana says, no, I wouldn't have. I'm a former beauty pageant queen. I would never stoop to that level. So Indy says, this is NXT. This isn't ballet, or in your case, beauty pageant. I don't know who came up with that line, but put that one back in the bin. So, but anyway, that sets up a match for later tonight. Indy Hartwell versus Ariana Grace, probably the worst match of the night. So don't get too excited for that one. Ariana Grace is still learning, very new to the business. Back in the ring now, Xyon Quinn's about halfway through his entrance, and the match starts out pretty hot here and fast. So Apollo takes control early, but Xyon counters and hits some big strikes, then a neck breaker. Then Xyon nips up, and the crowd boos him big time. So they're all 100%. Like the other one had Grayson Waller with like 50% people cheering for him, but nobody here is cheering for Xyon Quinn. So they're all for Apollo Cruz. Xyon, after that nip up, then hits a vertical suplex. The crowd chants Apollo now, and Xyon hits a chin lock, has a chin and arm lock on at the same time until the crowd rallies for Apollo to get out. Apollo does escape, but a big shoulder tackle takes Apollo right back down. So Apollo counters two different charging attacks from Xyon in a row, and then evades a third one, and Apollo gets control when he hits a corner splash and a lariat for a 2 count. Two big, strong guys here. Any big shot could end it at any point here. Apollo Cruz then goes up to the top rope and hits Xyon with a crossbody, and it kind of looked like Xyon was supposed to catch Apollo, but fell down really hard and awkwardly. So they awkwardly now again here try to figure out what to do, because like I said, it kind of like the fall that Apollo took looked awkward and kind of looked like it was supposed to be Apollo being caught by Xyon, and Xyon fell hard. And then they had to like have one referee talk to Apollo, then the referee talks to Xyon, and they kind of just stop the whole match. So then Xyon just goes over, hits a DVD on Apollo Cruz, and then Apollo gets up, hits an Enziguri kick and a Ron Simmons spine buster, and that gets the 1-2-3. So the winner of this match is Apollo Cruz. Shout out to Farouk Ron Simmons. We're getting to see his spine buster here win a match. That was pretty cool. Good version of it too. So a little bit awkward on the ending. Not a very not a very long match, but I think that's because I don't think it was ended early or anything. Although I do think Xyon Quinn fell when he wasn't supposed to, and it was really awkward how they had to set up the rest of the match from that point. But having the match end kind of quickly right after that point I don't think there was an injury or anything like that. I just think that NXT knows what I know. And I hope they know what I know, which is Xyon Quinn isn't quite ready for long matches. He isn't quite past the point of being just average, maybe below average. He's having trouble taking that next step. I wouldn't give up on him yet. He's definitely got a good look. His promos aren't too bad, and you could develop a good character for Xyon Quinn. But in the meantime, he's got to be you got to feature him on Level Up like every single week. This guy needs to be on Level Up where not as many people are going to watch him. Give him like an 8-minute match every single Level Up and see if he can improve within a couple months. Then bring him back up to TV for some storylines. I think that would be the best call there. So now we're in the back, and Toxic Attraction are there. So in 3 weeks, it'll be Mandy Rose versus Zoe Starks for the title at a special event. And I forget the name, but it's something like Heat Wave. So all of a sudden, the Toxic Attraction really hasn't even said anything yet, and Saray walks up. So Saray's all alone, and she's got her street clothes on, unlike when Saray is in NXT UK, which is where we've been seeing her lately, and that's where Saray's been. Saray doesn't really do the transform thing there in the UK, but she's back to it here. Saray in her street clothes, where she's all meek and mild, then she transformed into the warrior prince, or the warrior of the sun, when she goes through the curtain for matches through the power of her magical necklace. So Saray then says that she was in the UK and missed out on the chance in the battle royal, so now Saray wants a chance at the title. So Mandy says, yeah, sure, I don't think I forgot about you trying to rearrange my face before my title reign could even begin. So next week, I don't care what version shows up. So I'm pretty sure they don't mention this later on in the night, I don't think, but it will be Saray versus Mandy Rose. That's really who should be fighting Mandy Rose for the title. I like Zoe Stark, but Saray's like so much better. But anyway, I guess that we are going to get a little bit of Saray versus Mandy Rose here, and who knows, maybe Saray will win that match. But either way, I want Saray's story to evolve a little bit more. It's been a while before she's had any evolution on her storyline, so. But part of that was having to do with Saray going over the NXT UK a lot more lately. When we come back from ad break now, there's a pretty cool video. It's Solo Sikoa on the streets in the dark. Solo says, Von Wagner, I give you props. I changed my mind about you. You had to just hit me from behind. I see how you want to play. Good. Keep it that way. In the ring with me in my city, in your city. I don't care where, but next week, me and you, falls count anywhere. So wow, that should be epic. Von Wagner said one line in that video, but it wasn't anything of note. And I definitely hope NXT starts with that match next week, although we already announced later on what we start with. But I would have liked this match to start next week, spill to the outside of the building, and then we finish the night with the end of the match somewhere else. That would have been fun, but maybe we'll get something like that. Who knows? Then we go to an ad break. When we come back, Toxic Attraction come out for the second time tonight. And then as well, right after that, Zoe Stark makes her second entrance of the night. So Zoe starts strong, but Mandy just distracts her right away, and Gigi comes from behind to take control. Zoe tries to fight back, but a huge kick and a back body drop suplex keep Gigi Dolan in control here. So the crowd is chanting for both women, just like that match earlier with Grayson. A lot of dueling chants for the heels tonight. Very loud crowd tonight. Gigi then gets a bow and arrow submission applied on Zoe, but Zoe's able to get out. Zoe then evades a move and goes on the attack with some big kicks here. And then a running mafia kick to the face of Gigi Dolan gets a two count. Gigi then trips Zoe and kicks her in the back of the head. That looked pretty cool. Zoe then ducks a lariat and hits a massive flipping GTS knee strike type maneuver. Wow, that looked cool for the 1-2-3, of course. No one's getting out of that. So the winner of the match is Zoe Stark. Great 2 weeks return for Zoe Stark after an 8-month-long injury. Great stuff here. So the match was super short, but it's whatever. It's putting over Zoe strong. And we already know that Gigi Dolan is a tag team wrestler, so I don't think it hurts her too much, losing just like this ridiculously easy. But JC Jane, after the match, tries to sneak attack. Zoe must hear her coming because she just kicks a super kick to the face of JC Jane. Zoe then goes after Mandy, but Mandy's able to get away. But then Cora Jade comes out from behind and destroys Zoe Stark with a kendo stick. Roxanne Perez comes out as fast as she could, but Cora Jade had already hit about 3 or 4, 5, maybe even big kendo stick shots. Roxanne Perez runs down as quick as she could, and Cora Jade, of course, runs away as quick as she can. So Roxanne looks super cute tonight, and that match was so short. So wow, Gigi, definitely not lasting long in this match particular. Gigi didn't look bad in the match or anything, but like I was saying, maybe it's just their excuse was that Gigi is a tag team wrestler. So anyway, in the parking lot now, JD Mcdonough parks his car and walks into the building, and he says to someone that tonight he's part of the paying public. So I have no clue what that's going to lead to, but it's pretty interesting what it does lead to. So we go to an ad break now, and then we come back. Speaking of interesting, we see Wendy Chu. She's sleeping in her bed, and normally we have these segments where we see her dreams and stuff, but this time it's a nightmare. Wendy Chu is having nightmares about Tiffany Stratton destroying her, and wow. First of all, please tell me Wendy Chu is going to turn into Mei Ying again, because that would be way better than Wendy Chu character. But anyway, this was really funny and to see and hear Tiffany talking trash in this nightmare with all kinds of special effects, and Tiffany Stratton's just beating the crap out of Wendy Chu and talking trash. It was all funny and watching it when it happened, but here in nightmare form, it was even it was hilarious. So Wendy Chu's alarmed and wakes up, or rings to wake her up, and then she stubs her toe on the bed. Her drink is empty, and Wendy throws a temper tantrum because she's 5 years old, you see. So Wendy then says, next time, Tiffany, it won't be a pretty picture. It will be lights out for you. And then she shuts the lights off and it ends. So that was weird, but I did like it had a little bit of evil tinge to it. I still believe that Wendy Chu and Mei Ying are, even though it was played by the same person, I think those two characters are the exact same. It's Wendy Chu is just taken over by the evil spirit of Mei Ying. So that evil spirit went over to Boa, but we haven't quite seen Boa in a while now. So Boa is still on the roster if they ever want to call him back up. I don't know what he's currently doing. I think we might have seen him once this year, if that. So it'll be something to keep an eye on. But either way, it looks like Wendy Chu and Tiffany Stratton's rivalry isn't over. That's the only time we get to see Stratton tonight. But like I said, Tiffany was hilarious in that nightmare form, even though it was content we've already seen before. So now JD McDonough is sitting in the crowd. He's got a microphone and he says, well, I didn't properly get to introduce myself yet. So he goes up to one guy eating popcorn and says, did you know how many Americans die from popcorn by getting it caught in their trachea? And then, oh yeah, here's the timekeeper. You have the ring bell and a ring hammer. Even a light tap on the hand with this hammer could knock a finger out of the socket if you hit it just right. And then, oh, Alicia Taylor, the ring announcer, you have a great voice. Wade Barrett, all those years of bare knuckle boxing made your hands calcify. All I have to do is push a little bit here and you'll be in intense pain. Oh, and then there's Vic Joseph. You talked bad about my family last week, Vic. I bet I could break your collarbone with my bare hands. But there is one more person I need to meet. Braun Breaker, it's time for you to meet the Irish Ace. So Braun Breaker comes out with his full entrance, and then Braun Breaker says, in 3 weeks, you'll face me and you'll like it. Next week, we're making this official. So then JD headbutts Braun Breaker, looking for his finisher called the Devlin side, RR. And then Braun then headbutts JD right back to counter the move from being applied or like done to him. And JD bails and leaves, so the segment ends. So next week we'll get a official contract signing, and in 3 weeks we have a bunch of title matches in 3 weeks. So that'll be one of them: JD McDonough versus Braun Breaker. I don't know what quite how to expect, if it's going to be good, average, bad, but I'm sure it'll be at least average, probably not bad, and has a chance to be good. JD McDonough's great in the ring. Braun, he's explosive. I'll give him that. Not quite my style of wrestler, but I do like his promo style. Regardless of how he wrestles. In the back now, Andre Chase is with his Chase U students. It's Thea Hale and Bodie Hayward. So Andre says, tonight I go up against Giovani Vinci. What can you tell me about him? So Bodie says, last week I invited him to come with us and he was disrespectful. And Thea says, I got too close to his car and he yelled at me. So this makes Andre Chase super mad. He wants to destroy Vinci now. And Thea says, let me at him, just like Scrappy Doo does. So, oh no, we already got Butch on SmackDown. So now we got the female Butch here on NXT with Thea Hale. Only 18 years old, so hopefully she can find a better character soon. Then Nathan Frazier finally returns. He walks into this segment with the Chase U guys. So Nathan Frazier wants to be the honorary flag bearer tonight, and then we go to an ad break. So I had thought that Andre Chase said yes, but when we get to the actual match, it's just Bodie Hayward holding the flag. So Andre Chase must have told Nathan Frazier, F off, mate. You're not even in Chase U, so that's pretty funny. Anyway, when we come back from break, we see that little comic book style opening, complete ripoff of Marble, and it's for Axiom. I'm not quite sure if I mentioned this last week, but Axiom has two different people claiming gimmick infringement. One was from when Deonna Purrazzo was in NXT a couple of years ago, and Deonna Purrazzo pitched this whole gimmick of guy that knows math and can use it to be like a superhero type deal. So it looks like NXT just stole an old idea from one of their wrestlers that was used years later. And then that came out first. Then a few days after that, or when we saw Axiom last week debut, someone was like, hey, look, here's a picture of me and my gear. It was another wrestler. And he's like, that's my exact mask and gear that Axiom's wearing. So Axiom has a Marvel ripoff comic book style opening. Axiom has a ripoff gimmick that some other person claimed to have created. And Axiom has a ripoff gear and mask. So, wow. What did they do to A Kid? What did A Kid do to deserve all this? Because A Kid was fine by himself, but nope, they got to give him all this gimmick infringement stuff. And now people are talking bad about him for no fault of his own. So now we're in the back, and Roxanne Perez is there, and she says, oh, if Cora Jade wants to throw away our friendship, that's fine. But throwing the tag titles in the trash, I'm not going to stand for that. But luckily, someone else agrees with me. WWE Hall of Famer Alundra Blaze. And Alundra Blaze comes in and says these titles should be held with respect. 25 years ago, I threw the WWE Women's title in the trash, and it took a very long time for a new one to be crowned. But this won't take long. Next week, there will be a fatal four-way tag match to crown new women's NXT tag team champions. So, wow, nice. I was wondering if that was going to happen. Maybe, just maybe, Triple H saved the tag titles along with Stephanie, but maybe this was always the plan anyway. But last week, I was a little nervous once we threw it on the title, and the fact that we haven't seen the WWE women's tag titles in a couple months now had me a little bit worried, but it looks like they're saved, and we got a big four-way tag match next week. So going back to Alundra Blaze, if you didn't, I'm sure everyone's seen it before, but she signed with WCW Nitro through the WWE women's title in the trash live on TV on a different company, and then we didn't see a WWE women's title again for a long time. So I like that they brought Alundra Blaze in for this. So anyway, going back to Roxanne Perez, great promo, and her voice even sounded a little bit different now. So it could have been because obviously her character had a big character change with her best friend turning on her and things becoming more serious, when before she was just kind of like a happy rookie. So it's either that because there was the character change, or before they told her to sound that way, or it's a combination of the two probably. So Roxanne Perez sounded great here. It sounded more like her real voice. Before, she was just like a rookie, happy to be there. Now Roxanne sounds like the confident, amazing wrestler that she actually is. So absolutely love this. She's going to be a huge star, and it's not even going to take that long. And don't forget, she's only like 20 years old. So Roxanne Perez will not be one of the people going for the tag team titles, which means Roxanne Perez is going to be right there in the main event scene going forward. It will be next week, starting off NXT in a four-way title match for the women's tag team titles, vacant tag titles. Toxic Attraction trying to get him back for a third time. Pan Am Connection, that's Ulyssa Leon and Valentina Ferrar. Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who have been a team for a long time on NXT and never held the NXT tag titles. And then I call them Diamond Mine, but officially only one member's of Diamond Mine. It'll be Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley, who's been training at the Diamond Mine gym, but isn't an official member. So that'll be the match that starts next week. That'll be a good one. And they said it'll be no commercials, and it'll start next week. So that's going to be a great match there. So speaking of great matches, probably the match of the night next. Giovani Vinci makes his great entrance, and Andre Chase is already in the ring. So like I said, I don't see Nathan Frazier out there with him. He must have been denied being the flag bearer. So they start with some grappling here, and both of these men are veterans of wrestling right here. Chase works a headlock, but Vinci gets out to take control. Chase then fights back with a sunset flip pin, and then a Mahe Straw cradle pin, and then a crucifix pin, all in succession here for 2 counts. Vinci then gets another big strike in, but Chase hits an arm drag and keeps an armbar applied. Vinci eventually gets out and blasts Andre in the chase with a big drop kick. Andre Chase ran right into it, and we got a slow-mo replay of it. It looked nasty. But to Chase's credit, he gets right back up and knocks Vinci down. Then Vinci grabs the Chase U flag from Bodie Hayward, who has it ringside, snaps it in half over his knees. So he does that right as we go to an ad break. And unfortunately, it is not a picture-in-picture ad break. So when we come back, we don't see how, but Vinci's in control now, and Chase comes right back when we come back. He turns it around with a big kick, and Vinci counters a charging Chase with a back body drop right over the top rope. Again, Chase getting caught with charging in to his detriment. So that sends Andre Chase hard to the outside here. Vinci goes on the attack, but now back in the ring, Vinci hits a back suplex. Andre Chase then hits quick jabs into a Manhattan drop and a Russian leg sweep. So Chase is just having a great match here. Now Andre hits the Chase U stomps. The crowd's just absolutely going wild for this. And Chase hits a big suplex, but Vinci somehow kicks out of this. I never thought I'd be saying that in an Andre Chase Giovanni Vinci match this week. But yeah, here we are. I'm surprised Vinci kick out of Andre Chase here. So Chase then hits a big suplex. Like I said, Vinci kicked out. They're actually letting Chase wrestle his actual true ability tonight. So that's a little bit of change going forward. Andre Chase was able to wrestle when he normally just kind of has to tame it down and hold it back a little bit because he's just a character. And, anyway, Chase then blocks a move twice in a row here, but Vinci blocks a middle rope blockbuster. This was awesome, catching Chase and deadlifting him into a suplex right off the blockbuster attempt. That was great looking. Vinci then springboards, but right into a tiger driver of all things from Chase. So, wow, Chase was not allowed to shine this much before tonight. This is a new era. Vinci now has some fight in them, and he hits some big strikes, but again, Andre Chase cuts him off. Vinci is able to block a flatliner, however, and then hits the spinning last ride powerbomb for the 1-2-3. The winner of the match by pinfall is Giovani Vinci, and what a match from Andre Chase. Vinci looked all right in that one. Good stuff as usual, but this was an Andre Chase showcase match. Great stuff. It really pumped up the crowd. They've been watching and Andre Chase become a cult classic or a cult favorite, but usually the cult favorites aren't like really good wrestlers or anything. Andre Chase is a good wrestler. He's been a veteran wrestler. He was in ROH. I've seen Andre Chase in ROH like 15 years ago, bro. So he's one of the most veteran people on the roster. You might have seen him as part of the Bravado Brothers. They were even part of the Bravado Brothers were actually on the Total Deletion, if you remember, with the Hardy Boys and Impact and their Total Deletion special. But anyway, great stuff here. Right after the match, Vinci attacks Andre Chase. But instead of the Chase, you guys coming for the save, it's Nathan Frazier, who was denied being the flag bearer, apparently. So Nathan Frazier is an ally of Chase U. This is something we've seen in the past, so this isn't out of nowhere. Nathan Frazier was an ally of Chase U in the past. So we've got in the Diamond Mine now all 5 members, and still no Tatum Paxley. So that's why I was saying earlier, Tatum Paxley is not an official Diamond Mine member. Just she's being trained by Ivy Nile in the Diamond Mine gym. So anyway, they're all 5 here, and they're getting along perfectly now. They're all fired up for the main event, 8-man tag match, big faction battle. That's going to be the main event, and it could still all break down for this Diamond Mine faction, but Tony D accidentally might have made Diamond Mine come together here just as they were about to implode. So everybody's on the same page. We'll see if they can make it through the night all on the same page still. So Indy Hartwell now makes her entrance. Big cheers from the crowd. And after the ad break, she's going to take on Ariana Grace. Again, that's Santino Marella's daughter. So this match was set up last week when Indy eliminated Grace from the Battle Royal, and then they talked about it earlier in the night. So after the break, we see Alyssa Leon. She's talking to her tag team partner, Valentina Ferrar, over Skype or whatever it was on a tablet, and they're all excited to be in the tag team title 4-way match next week. Sangha is there too, and he gives a great pep talk to fire up the Pan Am connection for their tag title match next week. Now, quickly after that, elsewhere, we see Katana Chance and Caden Carter, and they feel very disrespected by Cora Jade's actions by throwing the title in the trash last week. Then Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley walk up to Caden Carter and Katana Chance, and they say that they're going to win the titles. Caden says, you guys aren't even a tag team, but if we all know that Ivy and Tatum had been training together for a while, they even had about 3 or 4 tag matches together. But yes, definitely the least amount of chemistry of the 4 teams will be Ivy and Tatum. But then the segment's not even over yet. Alexa Lopez now walks in and she says Diamond Mine will lose tonight. So then a 5-woman brawl breaks out, and we just immediately go to the ring. So we don't get to see much of the brawl here. But I like that the women of the 2 factions fighting in the main event got to have a little bit of interaction at least. Although I would have liked to see them have a one-on-one match on this same episode. That would have made more sense. Anyway, we immediately go to the ring halfway through at Ariana Grace's entrance. She's got her hair done a little bit different tonight. Looked pretty good. She's been trying different hairstyles. When she tried the Ariana Grande top knot, it was the worst one, and she got rid of that after one day. She's already invoking the Ariana Grande name with Ariana Grace, so don't be a complete ripoff. That was a good idea. Now she's just kind of got her own thing going on. So Indy and Grace tie up, and Indy shows some really good agility to get out of some grappling. They grapple for a while. I think Ariana Grace has a little bit of an MMA background in her, a little bit more MMA training in her than pro wrestling training, I believe. So the grappling here was pretty good, but the rest from Ariana Grace was not. The crowd was silent for basically all of Grace's really slow offense. Grace was in control a little bit too much for this match, for her amount of experience. Grace needs to be in there getting beat up, not doing a bunch of slow prodding offense on national live TV. That's exactly what we have NXT Level Up for. Put her on Level Up, let her do that kind of stuff there, train up, get better, then have her go on national TV. In the meantime, people are going to see Ariana Grace again in a month and be like, oh, it's that girl that can't do anything. So first impressions are a big thing. And I know this isn't the first time we've seen Ariana Grace, but I'm guaranteeing you there was thousands of people that this is the first time they've seen Ariana Grace tonight, and it wasn't a good look. So anyway, Indy turns it around, hits a big side slam for a 2 count. And I know from the WWE 2K game, that's one of her signature moves, that side slam. So Grace then rolls up Indy with her feet on the ropes, but the referee sees it. Grace is arguing with the referee and eats a big boot from Indy Hartwell for the 1-2-3. Kind of a nothing match. Worst match of the night right there. No offense, like Ariana Grace is still just, they shouldn't have put Ariana Grace in that situation. That's what I'm more mad about. You can never be mad at someone that's having like their, I don't know, 10th, 11th match. Like, she shouldn't be in that situation to begin with on live national TV. So anyway, in the back, this one was really interesting. Von Wagner's there with Mr. Stone, and Mr. Stone says, oh, you think, talking about Solo Sikoa, you think Von Wagner's scared of you? We decline your offer. So Von Wagner gets mad at this, and he says, wait, no, we don't decline anything around here. So Mr. Stone says, look, we have to look at the big picture. We already ran off and then he gets cut off and says, well, if she wants to go be a model, I don't give an S. So Von Wagner just slacking off Sophia Cromwell for going to be Maxine Dupree. That was really funny. So Von Wagner continues by saying, I'm the street champ now, Solo. If you want your crown back, come get it next week. So pretty good promo here by Von Wagner. He almost doesn't really even need Mr. Stone anymore. And hopefully his wrestling can improve just like his promos. But I like that they explained that how Sophia Cromwell will no longer be on NXT, and that's always cool. They did the same thing when 2 Dimes left. So I like that that they acknowledge things like that. Oh, they also did it when all of a sudden, what was it? Indy Hartwell lost her tag partner and her on-screen husband at the same time. So they kind of explain that too, at least a little bit. They at least acknowledge it. You know what I mean? They don't just move on. But on the other hand, like all of a sudden, no, never mind. It's not worth getting into now. Tony D'Angelo and his family now make their way to the ring. It's going to be the main event, main event time, and this should be a pretty good one. There's about 20 minutes left in the show as we go to an ad break. Just a quick note, that last 30 minutes or so have been super fast-paced. They really crammed a lot of information all at once. But that's to be expected on NXT nowadays. You know, on Raw and SmackDown, it's going to be long and drawn out. But then, you know, when you watch NXT and AEW Dynamite or even Rampage, it's going to be, whoa, yeah, this. And then, oh, yeah, don't celebrate too much because now we got this in the back. And then, oh, yeah, then, oh, now there's a fight in the parking lot. And, oh, don't forget, we got this coming up and that. So it's you kind of know what to expect by now. So starting to get used to it. I like the fast pace more than the damn slow pace of Raw. That's for sure. They literally only have an hour and a half of content, and they stretch it out for 3 hours on Raw with like recaps and stuff like that. But hopefully, like I said, that we can see light at the end of the tunnel now that there's no Vince. And maybe things will change slowly but surely. It's not all going to change at once, but there was stuff we saw tonight that was a little bit of a change. So we'll just keep an eye on things. So anyway, when we come back from the break, this was pretty funny. It's a business type video with businesswoman Kiana James, who's also a math major, and she's got a PowerPoint presentation for us. So this is going to be all about Nikita Lyons. And she shows Nikita Lyons, and then she shows Nikita Lyons as like a child or whatever. And she basically says Nikita Lyons is stupid because she was raised by a stupid rock star and a stupid groupie. So Kiana says she's so much smarter than Nikita, and she will report back with more findings next week. So we will get more of these boardroom PowerPoint presentations next week. Kiana James talked what she was like. The promo was fine. She said it fine. The content was okay, I guess. Interesting that it's going to be Nikita Lyons that she's going to feud with. I thought it was going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Nikita Lyons, but it looks like it's still going to be Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu for whatever reason. I guess so that we can get Wendy Chu or Big Win, but I don't see why she needs it. Anyway, now we go right from that to a video with Alba Fire and Lash Legend. They're talking trash about each other, and with all the highlights of their feud playing in the background, pretty good video here. So Alba says, if I go down in flames, I'm taking you out with me, and they'll have a big grudge match next week. So then this is where we're told the women's tag team title 4-way match will start next week's show and be commercial free, which is awesome. And then we also get Soul of Sokoa versus Von Wagner, Falls Count Anywhere, and also the Braun Breaker JD contract, and Mandy Rose versus one of my favorites, Saray. So I don't think that's a title match. They kind of made it sound like it might be, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyway, all of Tony D'Angelo's family, I notice, have now that they all have matching black tank tops and pants. They're all, even the Legado del Fantasma guys, matching the style here of the family. All of Diamond Mine is in blue, so a true faction battle here. This is going to be a good one. Let me just adjust real quick. So Roderick Strong starts pretty strong and is in control. He tags in Julius. Remember, those two have kind of been feuding, but they've been working together fine on this episode. Julius then hits a huge lariat and on Stacks. That's Channing Stacks Lorenzo, if you need to know the full name. A lot of people probably has no clue who Stacks is. But anyway, Stacks is able to tag in Tony D'Angelo now. Tony then quickens the pace, and that was a mistake because Julius loves the quick pace, and Julius just quickly takes control off of that. So Tony has to bail out of the ring. He comes back in, and so does all 6 of the other men. So all 8 men are in the ring. A huge brawl breaks out. The 6th illegal men brawl on the outside, while Julius and Tony are only left in the ring. Julius Creed applies a ankle lock on Tony D'Angelo, but the rest of the family pulls Tony out of the ring. So Brutus Creed then hits his big cannonball from the ring to the outside, crushing all 4 members of the family. That looked great. And for once, Brutus didn't have to come down and nearly shatter his ankle in 15 pieces like usual. So back in the ring now, Roderick Strong tags in and hits a backbreaker, the Messiah, the backbreaker on Cruz del Toro. Then Brutus tags in. He hits a big suplex, but Cruz is able to tag out the Joaquin, and they hit a nice looking double team. That was a springboard, like spring one guy off the board so that he does a really good move. That was awesome. Great stuff from the former Legado del Fantasma tag team. They've been tag teaming now for a couple years. They have some great chemistry together, Joaquin and Cruz del Toro. So Joaquin applies a chin lock now on Brutus. Brutus is able to get out because he's much bigger and tag in Damon Kemp. Kemp comes in with amazing hot tag fire here. Just great slams and suplexes. Kemp has really been improving so fast since his debut. And don't forget, this is the older brother of Gable Steveson. This is Bobby Steveson, just under a different name, Damon Kemp. So if Damon Kemp is this quick of a learner, we really might have the next Kurt Angle with Gable Steveson, because I can only imagine Gable Steveson is the better version of Damon Kemp, because Damon Kemp does not have a Olympic gold medal, but Gable Steveson does. So we'll see Gable Steveson in WWE after in the spring, because Gable Steveson wanted to try and win a 3rd consecutive NCAA college national championship in wrestling. So he's going to finish his college year, and he'll be in WWE in the spring, and he's probably going to be amazing. Even if he isn't good at promos, his wrestling is going to be amazing. They could always put a manager with him. So anyway, Kemp has just come in. He's taken on control. Cruz then comes in to help Joaquin get control. So Damon Kemp kind of showing his inexperience there, easily falling to the double team. Now Tony tags in, and he puts Kemp in the trio woe in the family's corner. They all hit quick tags and take turns stomping on Kemp, who's stuck in that trio woe. Tony's now talking trash to the rest of Diamond Mine and tags in Stacks. Stacks hits a few stomps and applies a one-legged Boston Crab, just like the young lion that he is. He has very limited moveset for Stacks, like the young lions in New Japan. But Kemp powers out of this and evades the next 2 attacks. And then Kemp hits a slingshot spear, but Cruz tags in, and he's able to keep Kemp from tagging out. So Cruz then knocks Brutus off the apron, but that allowed time for Kemp to tag out. So Julius Creed tags in and hits a huge slam on Stacks. Then Cruz jumps in, gets caught with a suplex immediately. Joaquin's on the top rope, and with one leap, Julius gets all the way up there just with one big leap and superplexes Joaquin like Kurt Angle, man. Speaking of Kurt Angle, Julius Creed's going to be a star, man. Julius then puts the ankle lock on Tony, but Stacks comes in to break it up. Brutus then hits a big tackle, but just avalanche tackle like Vader on Stacks. Joaquin and Cruz then double team Brutus to get him out of here. Kemp then comes out and takes out Cruz. Joaquin takes out Kemp. Roddy then hits a big knee strike on Stacks, and Julius also hits Stack with his finisher, the sliding lariat. But Tony D'Angelo's the legal man. Julius then holds on to Tony, and Roddy was going to hit a knee strike on Tony, but the knee strike hits Julius instead. Here we go again. The two that couldn't get along until this week are probably going to be back to feuding after that one, even though it was a clear mistake and an honest mistake. So instead, then Stacks takes out Roddy, and Tony D'Angelo hits the forget about it for the 1, 2, 3. It's like a spinning Northern Lights suplex. So the winners of the match are the D'Angelo family, and pretty good match. That flurry at the end was crazy. All that stuff I was explaining at the end there, it basically happened in 10 seconds. Like I had to rewind. I was a couple of minutes late for the review because I was like, bro, what the heck just happened? Like, how did I write all that down? So I had to like rewind it, pause it, rewind it. So that was fun. Really good, fun match. And would have preferred to maybe see something like this at a pay-per-view where it could have had a little bit more time and been elimination style. I think a faction battle always is better with elimination style. So maybe this is just the first act, or this is going to be the final nail in the coffin of Diamond Mine. We probably might be having Julius and Roderick back at each other's throats after this one. So that's unfortunate. I really didn't want to see them break up, but what I did like is in the past is Roderick Strong yelling at the Creed brothers so much. So if we can just get them to stay together, but Roderick Strong's angry the whole time, that would be ideal. But you would think the show's over there. The show is not over. So I thought it was going to be something even crazier when the first thing we see. So like the show's basically over, and then we see in the parking lot, it's Alundra Blaze, and she's got the women's tag team title. So I'm like, what the heck is this all about? Is something gonna happen here? Something crazy? But no, not really crazy. It's just Gigi, Dolan, and JC Jane come up and say, there's nobody else. Just hand them over to us already, talking about the title. So Alundra Blaze says no and just leaves. And then we end the show with Gigi and JC terribly acting annoying. I think they were supposed to be annoying and acting annoying, but it was just terribly acted and annoying. So it's just kind of like the worst thing you could possibly end with. But the rest of the show was pretty good. The beginning was really good with the Zoe Stark promo. Next week's beginning is going to be awesome with that 4-way women's tag title match. I have no clue who's going to win. If I had to say who I want to win, I mean, it would be tough not to say Kiana James and Katana Carter. They've been a tag team for like 2 years on NXT and never had the titles. They've seen them all come and go. They've never got the titles. Ulysses Leon and Valentina Ferrari, they have a pretty cool partnership with Sangha. That's fun to watch. My personal favorites are Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley. They're my personal favorites, but I don't think the story would be good for them to win yet. I think they would have to build themselves. Maybe when like you officially have Tatum Paxley join the Diamond Mine, and then you could have like a tag title run. Who's the other one in that? Oh yeah. So of course we're saying all this is probably just going to be Toxic Attraction winning the titles again. You know that. So be prepared for that if you're not a Toxic Attraction fan. For me, I guess it would make sense for Toxic Attraction to win them, and then someone can beat Toxic Attraction definitively. But you could just accomplish that goal in this 4-way match and have Toxic Attraction get pinned by like Katana Chance or something like that. So pretty good stuff overall. It looks like a really good show next week. I'm really looking forward to Von Wagner versus Solo Sikoa, Falls Count Anywhere. And I'm also can't wait to see Saray back in the ring. She's one of probably my favorite current, like, I say favorite, but Roxanne Perez is going to be just like a superstar, and so is Tiffany Stratton. So those two have more ceiling for becoming stars, but I really like this Saray gimmick. I like how she transforms. I've watched wrestling for 30 years now, and to find someone with a entrants that I've never seen before. You've seen one entrance, they're pretty much all kind of the same. Someone does a little shimmy here, I do a little shimmy there, and I point to the crowd. But to have an entrance so different where it has, the smoke fills, and then you see me walk, or first you see me walk with one clothes like I'm Goldberg in the back, and then smoke fills, and then I come out and instantly I've changed. Well, obviously it's just camera tricks and stuff like that, but it's something we've never seen before. It makes her unique. I think that's the kind of things you need today to stand out, is uniqueness. And I really like what they got going on. She's a great wrestler too, on top of everything. So I'm gonna get going, and this was a pretty good. Oh, sorry, Hassan. Thanks for watching. I always miss your messages because I got my notes up in front of where people type. But once I start getting a little more popular, I'll start looking a little bit more. Usually you're the only one that's commenting, but I do appreciate you always being here. And man, I'll be here again with more shows later tonight. I AEW Dark and New Japan Pro Wrestling G1. So no rest for the wicked. Just got to keep on going. I'm gonna go get an energy drink as we talk about it. So if you're interested, I'll be back later tonight with G1 coverage live as it goes off the air. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with NXT going forward. Nothing's gonna change like instantly with the new regime and Triple H and Stephanie and all that. It's not gonna be like, oh, we tune in next week and it's going to be the black and gold. That's not going to happen. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy what we got. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But when Vince was still there, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. But now we can see it. It's there. We don't know when we're going to get there, but we'll get there eventually. So let's take this ride together, and we'll review the next shows as they come and just enjoy it as it goes. So enjoy your day. Have a good night, whatever it is, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.